All right, everyone. Sorry for the delay. When you're doing these presentations, you want to make sure that you queue everything up properly. Let's go to slide one. All right, so 30-day redemption. We are now entering the spirit, day 21. We had a great journey. Hopefully, you have all learned, gained extreme value that you can implement and use within your life. Now that we go into the spirit segment, we start to work on the inner person. So make sure you take notes. This is going to be an informative presentation. We may go over a few minutes, so hopefully everyone has time. And so today I'll be doing a presentation, Kashab, and the topic of seeds is how to identify and uproot thoughts that hinder your growth. I'm sure we can all relate that there's something that is not letting us operate at our maximum potential. 30-day redemption disclaimer. The opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the presenter. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of 30-day redemption or its members, officers, staff, partners, or advertisers. So let's just get right into it. For those who are scriptural people, Matthew 13:27 and 28, various excerpts says, Sir, did not thou sow good seed in this field? From whence then has it tares? He said unto them, An enemy has done this. So what are tares? Well, tares are weeds. And so if you plant a garden and your intention is to grow flowers and suddenly something else is growing, something strange that you don't know where it came from, that would be considered a tare. And so where did that come from? Well, that particular scripture said the enemy have done this, but we're also going to look at some other practical, applications in the world of where these things have come from. So what has been planted in you? Where did it come from? Did it come from your DNA? Did it come from your ancestors? Did some of your behavior, your walk, your talk, your tone, your dreams, your visions? Have you ever been someplace and said, I feel like I've been here before, or this place is so familiar to me? Okay. Some things are in your blood, in your DNA. And that is something that is beyond your control that's been planted in you. What about the values and the behaviors that you learn from within your household, your parents? Something that your dad may do all the time that you find yourself doing. He may come in after work and sit in his favorite chair, for a few hours and just, anytime you turn, dad is going to be in his favorite chair. What about the way your mom prepares dinner? You learned something that may not even be a useful process anymore. Certain things, especially when it comes to cooking, sometimes people do processes that was a matter of just not having. And you're doing a process within your household that was a product of not having. For example, in the Caribbean, they have the codfish that they call saltfish. The saltfish is kept with a ton of salt to preserve it, which was a matter of not having necessarily the refrigerator to keep the fish. So they would have it salted. And that now is a delicacy within many Caribbean cultures. Jamaican, Guyanese, they would have saltfish, and the Guyanese would have saltfish with something called bake. It's like, for you guys that don't know, it's like having one of those breakfast sandwiches from McDonald's with saltfish in it. The Jamaicans have it where they have it, call it saltfish and fried dumplings. These things was a matter that you learned that was a matter of circumstance that has become delicacies. For some of those who are in the Americas, in the South, the chitlins and the type of meals were not a matter of anything more than just circumstance. Okay. So some people have become attached to those circumstances. But you bring up bacon. I've personally heard, oh, I just love bacon. It might be a matter of circumstance. That might not be that you love it. It's just that you've had it so often that it's become part of who you are. Um, a family of smokers. These are things that have been planted in you. Is it you or is it not? Social influences, your neighborhood. If you come from, let's say, New York City, maybe if you come from Brooklyn, New York, you may have a certain type of behavior. If you come from another urban city, Atlanta, the way you speak, the slang that you use becomes a part of who you are. And there's similarities too. There's certain things that people from Brooklyn will know about. There's certain things from people from Chicago will know about. There's certain things from people from the West Coast may know about. Certain ways that they dress, that the style, those things influence you. Is it you? Then we have the media that influences right now. There's people driving around in their car by themselves with their mask on. Who, sir, are you trying not to catch COVID-19 from? And do you wear it in the house? These influences from the media planted something in you. Fear. Schools. We like you all stand and say the pledge. Programming. You stand up, put your right hand on your heart and say the pledge. That's planted in you. Then your peers. You know, yeah, me and my girls every year we go to the wherever. Yeah, me and my boys, my cousins and I every year we. And these things begin to shape and plant seeds in you that you actually, when you meet someone or engage with new people, have a chance to exchange. Now, that exchange could be an introduction to something good, or it could be a contamination. We don't know unless we do what? Unless we examine what has been planted in you. So, what is a seed? Well, from the etymology, the Old English said, "side," which may be sown, an individual's grain of seed. An offspring, posterity, is also seed, from the Pro-Germanic sedis, or Old Norse sad, Old Norse sad, Old Frisian sed, Middle Dutch seit, Old High German sat, German seit, etc., etc. In the English, the meaning is offspring or progeny. So when we're using seed in the and it also says here rare now except in biblical use, meaning semen, which means the seed of copulation, sperm. And so when we're using seed in this particular presentation, we're talking about seeds planted in your mind, spiritual seed, ideas, customs, culture, influence. It's almost like saying, because I look at spiritual seed the same as I would look at secondhand smoke. You don't have to smoke for secondhand smoke to affect your lungs. In fact, they say that the person who is in the room that doesn't smoke has a greater susceptibility to having lung cancer than the person who is the smoker. So you're more susceptible to the condition of your environment as a non-smoker than a smoker, and you are more susceptible to spiritual seed being in certain environments than if you are not. So you cannot avoid spiritual seed unless you avoid the circumstances that will plant it. So we'll look at that. How does the seed take root in you? Spiritually. So we're going to look at a physical example, but I want, as we're looking at the natural example with an actual seed, think about how an idea takes root. So we're going to look at a 25-day lapse. It's not going to take 25 days. We're going to expedite it. But how a seed is planted, how it takes root, and how it grows. And I want you to think about how you have gained certain ideas that you believe is yours. And you see that root, as you look at the root, think about your mind and think about your spinal cords and think about your nervous system. As Estella went over yesterday, if you missed yesterday's, go back and check it out. And she talked about the nervous system. Now, things come from the spirit, then it goes into your mind, then it goes into your body, and it becomes habit. So let's take a look at it. How does seed take root in you? All right. So looking at that, you get to see how deep the inspiration that came into your spirit entered into your mind from wherever. It could be a good source, it could be a bad source. Enters into your mind from the spirit, goes into your mind, into your nervous system. That's why we have the video where it shows how deeply into the root it goes. That's all throughout your system, all throughout your body. Your muscles learn from it. All that information is going into your body. And then it blossoms in the manifestation of the act. What you do now with it, the influence. So some of it could be good. Some of it could be negative. We have to examine what is what, where it's coming from, how to eradicate those things that you did not authorize into your mind. The spirit informs the mind, whatever it is. Television, social media carry seeds. Seeds are spirits. If the seed is good, you can be possessed with good influence. If the seed is bad, you are just possessed with the idea that wants to make you respond a certain way. But it all starts in the spirit. So the question is, well, do you have a spirit filter? Because stuff is coming in all the time through your phone, through your computer, through your friends, through your parents, through school, through work. Do you accept everything that comes in? The spirit informs the mind, and then the mind informs the body, just like we looked at with the plant. Random spirits, just random. People run up to you. Hey, man, you ever heard of? Pause. What is your defense strategy for spirits? Do you believe everything you see? Well, it's on Facebook. Some people be like, well, look it up on YouTube. What does that mean? Just because it's in a book doesn't mean it's true. Just because it came from someone that you know doesn't mean it's accurate. Random spirits can plant seeds in your mind, which is your garden, to disrupt your purpose. You are here for a reason. Anything that diverts you from that reason is a negative spirit or a possession. These things come to disrupt you from your purpose, which is to blossom into whatever the Creator originally planted in you. There is a original coding in your DNA. It's in your DNA. Here comes other things to override. Anybody remember back in the days where you had those cassettes that you could record over? Now they have rewritable CDs. Now you have flash drives where you can delete, put new content on. What information? Because you know you can put something on your flash drive that can destroy all the files. It's called a virus. Whatever is not your original intent is a virus. It's a weed. It's a possession. So these seeds are really weeds that possess you. You're walking around possessed with a bunch of ideas and things and learned behavior that was not your original intent. To the point where someone now today can say, what is your purpose? No one ever asked me that before. What is your gift? What is your talent? What do you do? What is your gift? What were you made to do? I have to think about that and get back to you. But let somebody ask you, when is the NBA coming back, or when is a holiday, or what is your favorite food? Because that's already at the forefront. Your original DNA and original reason why you was created has gotten lost along the way. So let's do an exercise. I want everyone to grab a piece of paper, or grab your phones, unless you're using your phones for Zoom, or even find an area, find an email section, find a notepad, something. We're going to do an exercise. Make a list of the seeds, weeds, spirits, that have been planted in your mind in various 10-year intervals. So we're going to start from, and we're only going to take a minute each. Write as much as you can. I want you to visualize the youngest you. You may not remember 0, but as far back as you can go. Where were you at 10 years old? What school were you in? What were you doing? How were you dressing? How was your hair? What kind of breakfast was being made for you? What was the environment like? What was your favorite television show? And I want you to write at least 2 or 3 items for every one of these intervals. So what can you remember at 10 years old, young you, before a lot of the influence, definitely before social media, before some of this music you heard, before some of the things you've seen at work, before some of the heartbreaks? Where were you? What was going on? So do 3 items for 10, 0 to 10. Then take it up a notch, 10 to 20. What were you doing between the ages of 10 and 20? Where were you? What city were you in? Who was around you? What kind of music was you listening to? What was your favorite TV show? What was the greatest memory that stood out? What happened? What was something that stood out? Even a tragedy. What were some of the most memorable moments of these intervals? Do the same for 20 to 30. Some of you will stop right there because you may not be beyond that. For those of us who have more memories, do the 30 to 40. Same thing. What stood out? What was the greatest memory? What was the greatest memory? The happiest moment? What was the saddest moment? Where were you? Who were you around? What life-changing thing happened during that interval? And for those who are beyond 40, same thing, 40 to 50. What memorable thing happened? What was your greatest victory? What was your happiest moment? What was the most painful thing that happened? Who were you around? What was your greatest influence? So we're going to take about 2 minutes, write that out. Don't worry. You don't have to get on the mic and say what you did. This is for you. Write those things out. Okay. I know some of you need a little bit more time. All right. We're going to continue. Again, and you could do this exercise at any time. This is for you. But what we're trying to do is find out what's in you. What went into the root, into your nervous system, into your muscles, into your blood, recorded into your DNA. What happened to your parents that transferred that into their DNA, that transferred it into you? What happened to their parents before them that transferred into you? What's in you? Again, this is for you. So just like in nature, in nature's garden, before you uproot these things, these weeds, you have to identify what is truly a weed and what are plants or what are really flowers. Because the goal is to figure out what needs to go. Whatever does not serve you needs to go. Just like when you're cleaning your house and you're doing spring cleaning and you're trying to what? Get rid of stuff. You got to do that with your body as well. You have to do that with your friends. You have to do that with your phones. If we only upgraded our friends as much as our iPhones, because the carriers every year, they're, hey, you know, we have an upgrade for you every 2 years. Upgrade. You have to see what has to go. Once you identify what is not serving you and what needs to go and is not necessary to be there, you let it go. Is anyone here a pack rat? A hoarder? If you're a hoarder in flesh, you may be a hoarder in spirit. That means you have excess information that you will never need to use that needs to go. Now, some methods of natural weed removal also mirrors spiritual weed removal. Some you can do, and some a divine hand needs to come in and help you. So let's take a look at this gentleman is going to give us a quick 2-minute breakdown of how he gets rid of weed. And I want you to think about how you need to get rid of some of the weeds, spirits that you no longer need in your garden. Oops, my apologies.
fruit and veg. So if you've got an area like this that's covered in all sorts of weeds, rather than reaching for the Roundup, the chemicals, the vinegar, having to manually put that on and then wait for it to die back, all you do is take your bin liner and your tent pegs and you're going to pin it over the top of the weed. What that will do is reduce light from helping the weeds to photosynthesize. It will also reduce moisture and nutrients and will slowly but surely die back. It's a really good, environmentally sound method of killing weeds en masse. However, it does take quite a while, anywhere between a month to 6 months, to fully remove those weeds. But if you're a patient soul, which I'm not, it's a great method. But if you're not patient like me, then the weed burner is a fantastic method, both to get out some catharsis and kill those weeds. Now, I've tried all those homemade remedies for getting rid of weeds. Vinegar, table salt, washing up liquid, combination of the three. And whilst they do work, the results are quite unpredictable. And also, who can be bothered faffing around, sloshing vinegar all over your garden when all you want to do is sit out and enjoy it? So the best method that I found is one of these weed burners. Now, they run on butane gas. The great thing about them is they kill weeds almost instantaneously, and they've got no build-up and no knock-on effect on the local environment. So with a weed killer, over time your plants can get resistant. But with this bad boy, there is zero resistance, and it's great fun. So what you need to do is you buy a weed burner, and then you attach your gas canister to it. This one screws in, and there'll be a valve for on-off to regulate the amount of gas, and then a clicker that ignites it. Now, it goes without saying, wear protective footwear, goggles, gloves, make sure there's no small puppies running around, friends, family, children, animals, and then you're good to go. And it can be used on paths, beds, borders, pretty much anywhere. And it only targets the weed that you are taking your fury out on. So let's give this a whirl now. So we turn this on. Start it up, there we go. And then just over the top, just until it starts to burn back a lot. There we go. Same with this one. Couple of seconds. Unknown variety. There we go. Same with this one. Just turn that. There we go. And that's enough to be able to kill these weeds off. You still might need to do a few passes in a few weeks. It's far more efficient than just the how approach of I'm going to burn everything to the So just walk around slowly, doing that to your weeds, and then you'll see in a few days they'll start to just fall over and die back. So down here we've got the dreaded weed of all weeds, mare's tail, and this stuff is incredible. Incredible in that it's really difficult to kill off. It goes back hundreds of thousands of years as a species and is just super resilient. So although the weed burner will kill it, you will have to do it a few times. What you have to do with mare's tail is exhaust it. Tap roots go down so far, so you're basically just burning off that top layer time and time again until the plant basically gives up and dies. The weed burner is still an excellent tool for this. So there we have it, a super speedy guide of how to kill weeds, which doesn't involve using
All right, everyone. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Give us just a couple of minutes. We'll see what's going on, and we'll be right back with the presentation. For those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much. Sorry, we are having some technical difficulties. We will resume the presentation in just a second. For those of you who have been with us, thank you so much for your patience. We'll resume in just a few minutes.
My sincere apologies. Technical difficulties happen sometimes. Let's go back to where we were. Now, I don't know what might have been missed. Hopefully, you all seen the video of the guy with the really cute puppy. Hold on 1 second. Let me get you back up. Hopefully, you saw that part. Can you guys just chime in really quick and just let me know if we got that's the screen?
It came to the end of the video and we just couldn't hear you afterwards.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, it froze. Okay, so let's continue. So, just like in the example that he gave, if you notice one thing he spoke about the nasty chemicals that you don't want in your soil. So why do you want nasty side effects of drugs in your nervous system? Why do you want nasty drugs going into your mind to alter your behavior? Now, this is not a shot so much at anyone who has to take certain things to balance off, okay? But shouldn't the goal be for us to be back to where we were originally? Because obviously, if we look at that 10-year interval and at some point, 30, you had to start taking drugs to cope with something. Or even now, they're pushing the CDB or they're pushing medical marijuana. What is going on inside of your body that needs to be addressed? Not forgotten, not suppressed. Do you need time in a sabbatical? Do you need, and we'll look at some of the solutions, but we have to identify first what's going on and not just go to someone because, for example, when Estella did her presentation, she had 11 systems of the human body and none of them mentioned the spirit. And we know that the spirit is where everything starts. So we don't even address what is causing things to enter into our mind, to enter into our body. We're not even addressing that. We're just dealing with what is the effect. Then they tell you, take this drug that's going to now alter your spirit, suppress the spirit, but never eradicate. So we have to identify the weeds from the list, uproot from the conscious mind whatever does not belong. How did it even get into the subconscious mind? You know that 2 hours of television you're doing every night? You know them 4 hours of social media? You know that nosy gossip that you love to get from the beauty salon? You know your girlfriend that's always calling you to give you the tea? That's where all of those influences is where it's coming from. So there's things that have to be uprooted, but you better know what you're uprooting. Does anyone know what this is on the screen? That's a dandelion. Has anyone ever uprooted these in the garden as a child or just grabbed them sometime in a park and no one valued them? Grab them together, grab a bunch of them, throw them in the trash. Now they're making teas out of this and they're saying that this is good for you. This was not a weed. So just like the dandelion is not a weed, there may be things in you that should not be uprooted because you may need it. It's just that we didn't identify how this can be useful. If there's, for example, some children, autistic children, as an example, autistic children are not all proficient in all areas, but then they specialize in a particular area. Whatever it is, they zoom into it. The whole child, you know how they say, throw the whole baby away? You don't throw the whole child away. What is the thing Same thing with yourself. You had experiences and things that you've learned along the way. Some of it serves no purpose. Some of it, even if it's negative, may have sparked something in you, created or brought forth a talent in you that you may use. For example, if someone was in foster care and they have experienced foster care, some people turn around and they're like, I don't want anyone to have to experience what I went through, and create a whole organization. Sometimes we create solutions based on our pain. You don't want to throw you don't want to throw the pain away, but you do want to identify and repurpose the pain. And so you want to make sure that you don't throw away stuff that you may need, because some of the pain may inspire you to create solutions for other people. And we want to be cognizant of that and not just throw away everything as we're uprooting. What are some of the things people have tried to get into the subconscious because it got in there somehow? What are some of the things that have been tried? Mental imaging is something that has been tried. We covered that in one of my previous presentations. Mental imaging, and I showed a video. This time there's no video. But a mental image or a mental picture is an experience that on most occasions significantly resemble the experience of visually perceiving some objects, events, or scenes, but occur when the irrelevant object seen or scene is not actually present to the scenes, to the senses. So for example, you ever seen those virtual reality glasses? Someone throws on a virtual reality glass and responds as if they're in that experience. If the virtual reality glass puts you to the edge of a mountain, you panic because your brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's artificial. Your brain responds with the same fear. Some of us who have played video games in the past, same hype. Your mind is affected by mental imaging. Can you use mental imaging to go into your mind in any of those 10-year intervals and address those things that are going on? And I know there's a whole study for that. I won't get into the study. We can probably address that with the professionals during the workshops. But this is just for informational sake. Can you go in and can you, in the 10-year intervals, go and address those issues with new images? Why not? You go in to tell a story. You ever told a story about something that you've experienced and you feel like you re-experiencing it, tears and everything? Can't even talk about it. Well, if you can tell the story so clear that it invokes the emotion, then you can go in and you can change the results. And so there's a study for that. Okay. Hypnotherapy is something else that people use. What is that? Hypnotherapy is a type of alternative medicine in which hypnosis is used to create a state of focused attention and increased susceptibility, during which positive suggestions and guided imagery are used to help individuals deal with a variety of concerns and issues. Why are we using spiritual ways to go in? Because the information went in spiritually into your subconscious, and now your body is just responding. And they're giving you drugs to help your body. Here's, take this, helps you with anxiety. I need to know how to get rid of the source of the anxiety, not just to cope with the anxiety. Can we do anxiety removal? That's the uprooting. Okay. DMT. We talked about that during Ari's presentation with sound therapy. Okay. Dimethyltryptamine. You know how people say, you're tripping? Dimethyltryptamine is a chemical substance that occurs in many plants and animals, and which is both a derivative and structured analog of tryptamine. It can be consumed as a psychedelic drug and has historically been prepared for various cultures for ritual purposes as an estrogen. So ayahuasca, mushrooms, these are different things. I am not at all suggesting that you consume anything that alters your behavior. I am saying that this is one of the methods. And so the video we're going to watch is going to speak about natural DMT. You don't have to go through the express fast food route. You can take your time and do it naturally. So let's take a look at this quick video.
dark room is just like all the master have to go through. So the formula in the Tao said, when you go into the dark until you cannot be dark, you're going to see light. So actually, when I do the research, it's the same thing as we call the melatonin and serotonin and 5-MeO and DMT. That is what the West discovered, the DMT and the 5-MeO. So all the drug is producing this. Okay.
In the dark
so we
therapy.
call, yeah, and we call psychedelic drugs.
Right.
It producing the DMT.
Yes.
So the people take it, they seem like, oh, they're our body.
Yeah.
Experience.
I just went to Costa Rica, drank ayahuasca.
Yeah.
It has the
And
DMT.
you go, yeah.
And yeah, I've
Yeah.
got the experience. So I know.
So that is the whole key of that. Okay. So now in the Tao way, they've gone to all these drugs before. They call immortal pill. Immortal pill is a lot of all kind of things inside there. So and one major portion is mercury. And they think they boil the mercury to one level, and they have sulfur, phosphorus, they have metal, and they have precious stone, all boiled, because the metal can dissolve by the metal only can dissolve by the mercury. So you put the metal in, they dissolve it, and you can inject and take it. But no matter what you do, there's still some poison there. So when they take it in, it's like you're taking poison. And boom, the body producing a fighting effect, and it stimulates a death hormone on the top of the head. And that is the DMT. So the DMT people experience when they go to water, they drown. And that is the time the DMT producing the person, and you see things. And the soul spirit, they run out, and you see vision, see things, and you see so many things. So it's the same thing like a magic mushroom, because it's half poison and not very poison. The yellow mushroom is magic because it don't kill you right away, but it makes you close to death, and it stimulates the DMT. So you are use up the DMT that's stored in the moment of death, right on the pineal gland. So we call the death hormone. So that hormone, they trigger out the 5-MeO. You see color, see vision. You walk through the wall.
It's the 5-MeO DMT.
5-MeO, yeah. And the DMT make you feel like you're separation.
Okay.
The soul spirit go out.
You know a lot about psychedelics.
Oh yes, because my study and my expertise is I do all these things many years. Yeah, okay. In the website this is very, and we compare to them why. So now
you experiment with magic mushrooms?
No,
no,
I don't want, because my master want me that the Tao go to so long, and this one is don't lead you to one way, because it's many thousand years we already gone through this.
Okay.
And finally they said, no, we have to return back to internal pure.
So you want to connect with your internal DMT source.
DMT source.
Okay. Which is produced in human beings.
But in the dark room, you're producing it. You're not draining it. That is the whole key. So now.
And the masters used to go through this dark room as part of their training.
Right.
And that's why you got the idea to teach other people to do this. All right. And how does it work? How long do you need to be in the dark?
1 week. Totally dark.
Totally dark.
Everything is in the dark room. But the whole key, you have to understand that when we have two things. When you go to sleep at night, so I always, my master said, cover your eye and put the earplug, so dark. So when you dark, the body producing melatonin. But when in the morning, the melatonin you're producing at night, it turns to serotonin. So day and night like finish. But when you go in the dark and you calm your mind and not speak and calm everything down in the dark, now the body producing more melatonin. 5 milligram 10 milligram, 25 milligram. When the melatonin producing 25 milligram, now it had enough to produce it because it's the same chain. It's exactly the same chain. It's the melatonin. So when it's 25, it's split into 5-MeO. So now you see you're standing there, you're sitting there. After second day, on the third day, you have enough melatonin because you when light comes, it convert the melatonin to serotonin.
Okay.
So when you have not converted to serotonin, it have enough, it producing 5-MeO. And you see light, see color, see vision, see many, or see past life. Okay.
Very strong 5-MeO.
Right. Very strong. And now when the 5-MeO finish, when you have more 5-MeO, now if you stay to the third or fourth day, now the 5-MeO have enough, it turn to DMT. And now you're sitting there, you feel, hey, something gonna get out of your body. And that is what we call the soul and spirit want to leave the body. So now we have to control them. We have to control them because if you don't, so we practice in the first, second, and third, and fourth, and fifth level, you try to control, feed them, feed the soul spirit stronger, and they know how to get out and come back.
Very powerful information. Look into it. Okay. This is talking about how to get into yourself. Why are we looking at that? Because inside of you, all these things are planted. No one knows how to get inside to get it and to fix it. But outside, they're giving you more drugs and chemicals to suppress it. So you're never healed. And your body still knows these things are present. So instead of eradicating, you're now adding other issues. That's why when they give you the drugs, they talk about all the side effects. You're trying to control your cholesterol, but it may give you heart disease. You're trying to control your heart, it may give you death. That's not the best way to deal with these things. So look into these things. Also, 30-day redemption has some solutions. What are we doing? We're trying to create new habits during our 30 days. We're discussing these things. It's building awareness about mind, body, spirit. We're offering workshops to address these things. Workshops of 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 30 days, eventually 90 days. This is a longer road. This is a longer, more disciplined path. Those who have been here for every day, kudos to you. We are now 50 days into various presentations. Something has to be learned. We're going to be offering retreats. We have one called Eco-Curism. North America, Central America, South America, Africa. To do what? Travel, reset, heal, separate yourself. Have a different experience. Get time with yourself. Write out your life. Meditate. Have some good foods. This paradigm shift may be what you need, especially if you've never left your environment. Never leaving your environment is like being in an abusive relationship and you're still there. You're abusing your own body. Eventually, what's going to happen? Your body's going to respond. Cancer, stress, ulcers. So it has to be addressed. And there's different ways of addressing. If you want to create a new life through long-term solutions, then let's work at it. 30-day workshops, retreats, or you could look into some of the information that you've learned. Do you have a mental picture of your life? What does it look like? I personally believe that children should be given a mental picture, or adults shall be able to put together those 10-year intervals. Take all of that information and put together a picture. What does it look like? Forget about painting and sipping. Let's sit down and put together this mental picture of your life. You know, they call it a dream board for what you want. But let's also look at where you came from. compare the two. This is where you came from. This is the dream board. We could call it a nightmare board. And then this is the dream board. This is what you want to create. Do you have a mental picture of your life? If you have no mental picture, what are you putting together? If you have no mental picture, how do you know that, nah, this piece doesn't fit in my life? This piece has nothing. This piece has something to do with me. This piece has nothing to do with me. Can you identify the pieces that fit your purpose and those that do not fit, but cause you distractions, that adds additional weeds, additional spirits, additional possession, additional drugs you have to take? Distractions are weeds, and weeds are possession. So you actually have to be depossessed. Where did it come from? Scripture, for those, again, who subscribe to Scripture, there's one in 2 Ezra 4:28-30. It says, "But as concerning the things whereof thou asked me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown." What evil? Same kind of conversation we're talking about. Where did these things come from? What planted these seeds? When it says evil is sown, means something planted something inside of you that didn't belong. But the destruction thereof is not yet come. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, if the thing that has been sown inside of you between 10-year interval, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 40 to 50, is not turned upside down, understood, found out, uprooted, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then it cannot come that which is sown for good. You cannot take a bad situation and plan a good situation. That's for those who are looking for a relationship to help them. A relationship with someone, you identify great qualities within someone and desire that for your life, just to use them up and never address. They're your coping mechanism. Not supposed to do that. If the place that the evil or the possession or the weed is sown is not addressed and eradicated, you're not whole. And so you now begin to demand things from people to fulfill what is lacking. Or you identify with someone because you identify a characteristic that you wish you had, but you're not making room to build that characteristic into yourself. It goes on to say, for the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning. So our fight with these things that go on in this body goes way back. It goes way back. When we talk about the DNA, it's that DNA. And it's been going all the way through that we are susceptible or gravitate to certain things that enter our bodies through our spirit, into our minds, and we become distracted, possessed, or contemptible, corruptible. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Removing seeds, weeds, possession is no easy task. What we just looked at is not a walk in the park. It's not so, you know, watch a video, then you're good. Show up for 1 30-day redemption day and you should be fine. This is a process. It's a process of removing. As we mentioned in the previous slides, there's a process that you have to go through. It's work. It's proactive. It's deliberate. It's conscious. One other thing that we didn't mention in the slides is this: creating good habits and going to sleep. Sleep is a way of dealing with these issues. Good content, good habits, rest. Sleep also gets you into the subconscious. But it's a diligent regimen. Some of the answers that you have, if you have some thoughts, write out, I want to figure out how to do my business. I need a good business name. Go to sleep. Write it out. I'm seeking a good business name for my thing. Get you good 8 hours. Wake up in the middle of the night. I got it. There is power in the subconscious, is what I'm saying. And it's not only filled with bad things, you can also query your subconscious for good things. Replanting good seeds. After you go through this process and eradicate, that's why we just read that which you, the place cannot be planted with good if you don't get rid of what's bad. But after you get rid of it, okay, well, I got some room. Let me go ahead. I stopped taking these anxiety pills. Now I'm juicing 7 times a day. That might be it. I'm walking more, exercising more. I'm sleeping more. Getting in tune with yourself and your original intent of why you were here. Without the possession, without the noise, you can plant some good seeds in there. Hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while. What are you into? Oh, man, I'm into painting. It helps me with like my anxiety. I'm into, you know, I do martial arts, man. It helps me with my anger. You know, just helps me to release a lot of this energy I have cooped up. Pick up new things. Prevention. Protecting the next generation. Now, if you have a child, you know you have some things in your DNA. Maybe you don't want to transfer that. Do not allow negative seeds in. And a lot of this is, okay, as they say, moving forward. Because we might have already jacked stuff up. You might have jacked it up. You might have recognized you jacked it up. You might have forgiven yourself, and somebody somewhere is sitting harboring and holding that, and they want to bring it back up. When they bring it back up, you say, I've already addressed that. Maintenance. Now you have to discipline yourself and discipline the next generation. Use a soundproof regimen and system to maintain, because you do know that those seeds and those spirits are waiting always at the door to jump back in. It's just like if you get over being an alcoholic or a drug abuser, and your friend is saying, hey, man, let's go on to the bar. I'm sorry, man, I don't drink. Because, come on, just one drink. Relapse. You gotta learn, nope. Got a tight regimen, don't drink, I paint. Without having this clarity of mind to remove, to replant, to prevent, to maintain. You see the slide how it shows the image of the dysfunctional farm? Everything everywhere. You cannot produce because the confusion in the mind of the farmer is seen on his farm. Then there's the picture below. And you're like, you're probably producing at a maximum capacity because there's order in your mind. So what are the benefits of a well-kept mind? Peace of mind is one. You might sleep through the night. You might argue less. You may have less desires for distracting activities. Mark 5:15 says, and they came to Jesus and seen him that was possessed with the devil and that had the legion sitting and clothed in his right mind, and they were afraid. This guy he had all kinds of things planted in him to where he was possessed. And when the possession was gone, he was in his right mind. Are you in your right mind? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Are the things you're doing stuff that makes sense? Okay. If it's not, you're probably possessed. Have to work on eradicating those seeds. Have to work on take on a regimen and discipline to get yourself together so that you can live the maximum life. Better health. Oh, sidebar, before we go, a lot of times we think people are crazy because they have expressing their spirits, but we don't realize that we also just as crazy. So they might be crazy 5.0, we're just crazy 1.0. There was a diagram I seen that had a square, and it said general population. So imagine a bunch of people in a square, and then inside of this general population, mental illness. Everybody in the same box. Some looking at others saying they're crazy, not realizing you just as crazy and just as possessed and need to heal and eradicate. So what are some of the benefits? Better health, focus, and greater productivity in fulfilling your purpose and goals. better relationships, longer life. So I'm going to open up for Q&A. If anyone has any questions, thoughts, comments, we're going to go back and open up. Let's see. We have here, Darrell says yes. I don't know what you said yes to, Darrell, but hopefully you could come on and give some information. Alexandra says, it's as if they're packaged and priced the energy of the spirits for financial gain. So you could probably explain more about that. So does anyone have any comments, questions, thoughts you'd like to express? Unmute. Let's hear it. Darrell, what did you say yes about? If you remember.
I said yes, I think when you asked about something that you presented, but I do want to know, is there a start to the video that you showed about, you know, the darkness and, you know, the natural way to just get clarity on things? I couldn't understand some of the YouTube, so maybe you could post a link or something, because I really want to hear about that.
Yeah, we'll post it in the, we'll post it under the after we post this video, we'll post the link to his discussion underneath it, the full interview.
Very, very good. And secondly, when you had us write down different things in the stages of our life, in order to get rid of some of the more painful things, such as, I know with me, a lot of phases of my life, you know, death affected me in a certain way with my family members and friends. So like things like that, that really had this probably still ingrained somewhere inside of me. Like, how do you get rid of that? I mean, what would be a start? Like you said,
that would be Jabrita. Jabrita would be doing the workshops, and she has a full workshop on how to deal with trauma, how to deal with grief. So that's coming up, and she will have that and work through it with actual workbooks, etc. So Jabrita would be the point person for that.
Very good. Thank you. Great presentation. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Darrell. All right. Anyone else? Any questions, comments, thoughts that you'd like to share?
I just have a comment when you were talking about sleeping, which is a great thing, because normally sometimes when there's a lot going on in my mind, one of the things that I've always done, I never realized that I was doing, I will go take a nap. I would just go to sleep and I'll wake up with clarity. So it's interesting. I don't know if there's any associated with the darkness, you know, when you go to sleep, you're not, you know, not looking at anything, but it does help clear the mind. And sometimes you even find answers after you wake up, you know, or more clarity to what you went to, you know, before you went to sleep.
Yeah, sleep is a healer. I just learned that last year, the power of sleep, which makes sense, right? Because, for example, when you're sick and they tell you to take NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head, aching fever, so you could rest medicine, is so you can sleep. You so drugged up, you heal. So sleeping heals. Okay. And so that's why we have to implement good sleep into our regimen, because it's not only a good source of information, as I covered, but it's also a good source of restoration. Okay. So yes, make sure that sleep is part of your regimen. Again, open up for any other questions or comments before we get towards wrapping up the call. Estella?
Yes, Kashaf, thank you for a great presentation. That blessed me a lot. And what I was going to say, one, is if you can post that video of the DMT one, so because it was hard to hear it all. And then two, I just wanted to make a connection how you talked about, you know, even yesterday we talked about the nervous system and how the nervous system makes us do things, like when you link the nervous system and the muscular system, where how we have electrical shocks pretty much that makes us do things that are voluntary and involuntary. And so that just goes, things that are voluntary, I guess involuntary would be, you know, breathing and, you know, digesting food, and also involuntary down to our thoughts and our spirit, and how sometimes, you know, just the thoughts that comes into our mind can make our muscles do things without it even really happening. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah,
So like,
that's where they call maybe spasms, or even I think anxiety may be connected to the nerves itself, maybe going from voluntary to involuntary. Now you've made yourself have an involuntary response to stimulus because of the trauma. So can you go in and re-record that and now no longer have to take medicines because you've addressed the trauma from whatever happened during that time. So now you no longer need the medicine to deal with anxiety because you're healed.
Right.
So we have to figure that out.
Yeah, it's powerful. Our mind is very powerful. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad you came on because I did want you to chime in on the nervous system part, but that's why I said it has to go from spirit into mind, into the nervous system. Now you can actually track this information going into your bodies, and now your body is learning from what came into your spirit. So it's like, how do you block? Where are the gatekeepers? Do you block the thought? Do you block it? Do you have a way of processing in your mind? Do you have a way of eradicating in your body? Like, we have to really go deeper into that subject. So
absolutely, yeah,
got some work cut out ahead.
Wonderful.
All right, thank you, Estella. All right, anyone else? Randolph, I see you on here. I know you're itching with something. Give me something. I know you have some correlation. He might be busy. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up here. We're going to just fire up the last of the screen. And we have some great presenters coming up in the next few days. So hopefully you guys can make all of it. For more information, you guys know how to reach me. You can reach me on Facebook. Just type in Ask Kashab. For those of you who are friends, you know how to reach me. And we will be launching my Ask Kashab website probably within a month or two. So if you like what I'm talking about, plug in, and I'll have Ask Kashab Radio, Ask Kashab TV. We'll have some workshops and to see the things that I'm interested. So thank you all for your time. Have a fantastic day. Make sure you catch every day of Spirit if you can. There's going to be some great information. God bless and take care. We'll talk tomorrow.